Welcome, everybody. I want to talk to you about the items that I take with me to every wedding that I photograph. I don't leave the house without any of these. If I have a wedding, you open my bag, this is everything that you will find. Normally, you might find a few more little things, which I'll mention, but I will show you the main items. Number one is I believe that you should always have backups for everything. So, first thing, I bring two Canon R5, so two Canon R5 bodies to every wedding, every shoot, no matter big or small. You should be big on redundancy, and if anything ever goes wrong, you should have the ability to still produce and get the job done. So I always recommend to bring two bodies no matter what you're doing. Even if the secondary body is an older body, I personally shoot with two bodies on me throughout the wedding day. Recently, I made a few changes where I find myself shooting mainly with just one body and then two during certain times of the day. But up until this year, I used to have two bodies at all time, beginning to end, to capture the entire wedding day. And not only for ease of having two different lenses, I used to be primes only, so not having to switch lenses was huge for me. But also, yeah, just having the ability to know that if one camera craps out on you, you have a backup. Okay, so R5s is the bodies that I like to use. And then on my main body, on the main R5, I'm going to have the 28 to 70 at all times throughout the whole wedding. This is what I capture. Probably I want to say 90% of the photos with is this 28 to 70 lens. Absolutely love this thing. It's a beast of a lens. It's an absolute hog monster. But once you get used to it, it's super fun. I used to be strictly 51.2, which I still think it's a superior portrait lens. I think it's a gorgeous look that you can't get out of this 28 to 70. But at 50, the 28 to 70 is very competitive. To anybody that's not a photographer, they probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference. And I still think it produces incredible images, not to mention how easy it is to have that full range when you're on a time crunch or you're trying to get shots without missing moments. Having the ability to zoom out is it's pretty key. Once again, I was not about telephoto lenses for a very long time. I was always about primes. So bear with me. It's okay to change and morph. After that, I mentioned I have the other Canon R5 body that is the one that I use as a secondary body. And on that lens, I normally have a 2.0 135 mil Canon lens, which is this one right here. It's still the EF, so I'm using an adapter EF to RF adapter. Love the look of this lens. I'm actually thinking of upgrading to the RF version. It's just a gorgeous lens. It's really good for ceremony times for me, or when I have to poke out a little bit further and get those shots. This is the lens that comes on. Another lens that I rotate on that body is a 100 millimeter macro. This one comes out mainly just for detail shots. So if I'm doing close-ups of rings or other details, anything macro that's going to be really close up to the object, that's when I use this one. And then it spends the rest of the day in the bag. Another lens that I bring out when I know there's going to be a lot of dancing. This is what used to be on my secondary body before I started using that 28 to 70. It's the 24 1.4. This is a lens that I'm going to bring with me. Let's say that you have a long reception, there's a lot of dancing, you don't want to be taking photos with this heavy hog of a lens. So I'll go ahead and I'll drop the 24 1.4 on it, and it just produces a little more of a lightweight setup to capture those dance photos, a lighter weight setup. So that's with the 24 1.4. That's one thing that I use it for. It used to be always on my secondary body, but once again, it used to be a 51.2 and the 24 1.4, and then once I upgraded to the 28 to 70, now it's 28 to 70 and 135. But if I'm not shooting ceremony, or if I'm not shooting speeches, or Anything that I need a little more distance to poke out and not have to be right up on them, I'll probably have just one body on me with a 28 to 70. To keep these bodies on me, I used to use the hold fast straps, the shoulder straps. And I'll tell you, it got to a point where they weren't as comfortable. They kind of made my shoulders a little sore. And I used that thing for 10 years and it worked great. However, recently, like I want to say 5 months ago, I started looking for other methods of keeping cameras on me. I wanted something that was had the flexibility of taking the body off and not have an imbalanced harness. I wanted to be able to just be quick about switching bodies when I'm doing ceremonies. So if they're coming down the aisle and you got to make a quick switch of cameras, I want to have the ability to do it fast and mainly just have the ability to have one camera without having an uneven hanging harness. And I do not like the crossbody straps, just single straps. They just don't feel right, feel very limiting. So I picked up these Spider holsters, these little things right here. Absolutely love it. So far, I have two of these and I hook them onto my belt. And I love that the way they work. They're super secure. I have no failures with it. They're very sleek. I wear suits. So with my jacket, my suit jacket, it doesn't get in the way. They feel very comfortable because now the weight is all on your waist. I know that they make belts that are designated for the camera system, the strap system. However, I don't like the black Velcro belt. I don't think that it matches when I'm wearing like a blue suit, or it just takes away. It doesn't feel as fancy, or as, I know some people might think it's trivial, but I want to look nice, and that belt doesn't make me feel like I look nice. So having the ability to strap these onto my own belt, game changer right there. Boom. Another thing that I say is an absolute must-have is get yourself some mints or gum and have that in your bag, because especially I'm drinking mate, or if you're drinking coffee, you don't want to show up and have stinky breath. Another little tip here, definitely always make sure you have like bobby pins and clothing pins and stuff like that for emergencies. But this right here, this putty right here is super helpful. Boom, there it is. That stuff, I love it. I use it sometimes for lay flats if you need things to stay in place. I've used it to put like shoes on picture frames or on chairs, and just put a little bit of that putty on the heel or on the surface, and it sticks stuff, and it's just easier to mold stuff in place, and it leaves no residue. So I love this stuff. And then get yourself some bobby pins of every color, hair ties, pair of small scissors, mints, double-sided tape for dresses and stuff. That's really, really helpful. So I highly recommend having that. And then we'll move on to my lighting. So everything that I bring for my weddings is mainly the AD200. So the Godox AD200 Pro. I have two of these. Absolutely love these bricks. These things have so much punch for the size of them. The battery life is incredible. Rechargeable batteries is great. You pop this thing out and you just charge it up, pop it back in. You don't have to worry about double, triple A's, nothing. You see I have the MagMod, the old school version of it on there. So I bring two AD200 Pros. This one's the AD200 Pro 2. I bring two of those and two V1s, so Godox V1s. I bring two of these as well. All four of them are kitted out with the MagMod attachments here. And that's just my lighting setup. So whenever I'm doing simple setup, so I'll have one light on my camera. So I'll have a Godox V1C on my camera as a trigger. And then I'll have the two AD200 Pro 2s on stands. So I'll do a 3-light setup for reception, for speeches, for any sort of moment like that. If I'm doing family photos, it'll most likely be just one AD200 Pro along with my X3 C Godox remote. Love this thing. It's the cutest little remote. I haven't even removed the plastic on it. I'm a freak. I love the design of it. I think it's just, I love the way it feels. So I have this for family photo portion or formal portrait time. I have an 8200 Pro on a stand, and then trigger it with this as opposed to the V1C like I do during receptions. Definitely always bring a backup. So I have 2 more of these, my old triggers in my bag that are ready to go in case this puppy fails, right? And this trigger right here, I love that it's rechargeable battery. These one take the batteries, and I didn't like using that, so this upgrade was definitely a necessity. And I still keep those because, once again, redundancy. Make sure that you have extra of everything in case something goes wrong. Same for the lights. I use 3 lights, but I still have 4 lights just in case something goes wrong. Okay. As far as lighting, always have something to mount your lights on stands. So I bring a couple of these for my 8200, the little adapters that go on your stand, and you can tilt, you can add umbrellas if you want to, whatever you feel. And then a few other MagMod attachments. So I have the MagSphere, or as most photographers call it, the Mag Boob. This is the one that I use the most on my lights as a little softener diffuser enlarging light source. I have with me as well 2 of these mag grids for, during nighttime. Sometimes I like to do specific styled shots, and the grids allow me to really direct the light and go direct it where I want it and not have it leak elsewhere. And lastly, I use these a lot, literally every single wedding. I have multiple kits of their CTO gels. I have the quarter gels, quarter CTOs, half CTOs, full CTOs, and I have multiple of them as backups. I absolutely love using these to balance my light, so my strobes and my flashes, to the ambient light, especially if you're in rooms with really tungsten light or whatever you're dealing with. You have the ability to match it all and make it look really nice. So highly recommend get yourself some gels. The beauty of the old MagMod MagSpheres or Mag Boobs is that it had a little slot so you can slip your gels inside them, and you don't need the Mag Gel attachment. So I have 2 of the gel attachments. I have 2 of the grids. I have 2 of the boobs or spheres, and then I have a ton of the gels and a few other. I have the Mag Bounds and a bunch of other stuff, but I always bring those with me to every wedding, and I use them every single time. So I would say for every wedding, I use a MagSphere and the gels every time. The grids, not every wedding, but yeah. Another thing I do bring that maybe I'll whip out randomly is the tripod. I use a Peak Design tripod, and I have that with me for every wedding just in case. And I always bring extra stands. So even though I use 2 stands for my 3 light setup, I bring 4 stands with me. I might not unload them, but they're in the car. And then let me think. Oh, one thing I did not mention is batteries. So always have extra batteries. I have plenty of them. So I bring 6 batteries with me to every wedding, fully charged, ready to go. SD cards, extra SD cards, extra CF cards. So whatever it is that you think could fail, prepare yourself and get yourself spares and spares to that spare, because you do not want to leave anything behind and then have a situation where you need it and then you're stuck, unable to produce or create art when you're expected to, right? The last thing you want is to be caught with not enough gear or just no gear to be able to do the job. So be ready for that. And then, I mean, I have other lenses, but it just depends on, on what I'm going to be doing. If I know it's a small venue with a giant group of people, and there might be a situation where I need to get a really wide shot with very limited space, I'll bring my 14 millimeter rectilinear lens, which is like super, super wide, but doesn't distort a lot. I'll put that in the bag and I'll bring it with me just in case, just for that occasion that I might need that wide shot in a very small space. Once again, I like to be prepared. Most of the time you don't end up using it, but I'm the kind of person that I want to be prepared. I never want to be caught in a situation where I can't deliver what I promised. So that's what I pack with me to my weddings. I can't think of anything else that's like an absolute must-have. I do like these a lot. I did not mention it, but the Peak Design hand strap. This is something that I use for every wedding, and I absolutely love it. It's the ease of tightening and loosening that I like a lot. Just being able to cinch it down and then you lift up that just to loosen it up. It's a great design. It's really easy, and it allows me to keep the tripod plate on as well. This little knob here is for the spider clip. So that's how it slides on. And then it locks. So you have the ability to lock it. Boom. So you can't pull it out unless you remove the safety here. Boom. So you see, here we go. And now it's locked on there. Look at that. Boom. And then when you lift up, you can slide it out. Cool. I hope that this was helpful. I'm going to be doing a few more gear breakdown videos, but yeah, this is what I bring and to every wedding. This absolute must-haves for me and every wedding. And I fit everything into one backpack. So it's great. It's super portable. Doesn't weigh too much. I'm ready to go. And yeah, hope you enjoyed it.